Welcome in. I am the Crypto Bull God and I'm an H barbarian. In today's video, we are going to discuss if it is possible for HBAR to get into the top 20 this year. We're also going to take a look at three charts. We're going to assess current price action and also what we want to look for in the coming months ahead. If you appreciate the content, make sure to give a thumbs up. Make sure to drop me a comment. Subscribe to the channel. Click the bell icon for notifications. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on TradingView. You can even find me on Instagram. One word at Crypto Bull God. Just a quick disclosure that none of what I'm sharing is financial advice. I'm simply looking to educate and to help others. We're all big boys and big girls, so as such, we can make our own personal financial decisions. With that being said, let's get into it. All right, the first chart we're going to take a look at. This is the HBARUSD chart. This is a 3-day chart. This is one of the key time frames that I like looking at. If you follow me, you know that. A lot of chartists like looking at the 3-day. Now, one of the things I was pointing out earlier, if you follow me on Twitter at Crypto Bull God, we saw price declining, but we saw the RSI increasing in value. This is what is known as bullish divergence. Interestingly enough, if you just focus on price for a second, you'll also see that I was drawing a falling wedge. Okay, this is sort of a falling wedge channel. And we actually could draw this a little bit more aggressive right there. So we're a little wire at the top, a little narrow at the bottom. You see we got a fake out here. This is very common, and we've seen this in other charts. If you're following a lot of other charts and you're following me, I've spoken to this. You can see we temporarily fell out of this wedge, and then we shot up, okay? Not uncommon. But the bullish divergence in the RSI has been playing out, and it's really good to see. This green zone here was a key zone that I was looking for price to potentially enter many months back as a very huge opportune time to buy, scale in, increase your position, or establish a position because it would be at very suppressed levels based on past history. You can see we got into the zone, actually temporarily went down below it for a few days, and then shot back up. You had an opportunity to buy into prices here that were back in the early times of December 2020, January 2021, before we started shooting up in value. Great time to buy. So what's happened now? Let's talk a little bit about where we're at and what I'd like to see occur with the price. You can see that right now, okay, very clear. Resistance, 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 resistance. We've now cleared the resistance. Okay, so what I'd like to see is for price to come up here. Maybe we come all the way up here at about 6.2 cents, and we could have a nice healthy consolidation right in this area at the top here around, we're going to call this, looks like 4.8 cents. But what do you guys know is common if you've been following me for a long time? You know that once we break a line of descending resistance like this, it's very common for price to come back in a bullish manner, back test it, ultimately stay above here on a closing basis, and then continue moving higher. So I would not be shocked to see that happen. But the orange zone is ultimately what I want to see. In the coming next several weeks, okay, in the next coming several weeks, if you're a holder of HBAR, what I would look for is for price to consolidate somewhere between this 10.8 cent area and 6.2 cent area. Let's not squabble over fractions of a penny. If you follow anyone else who has key areas of price confluence like I have denoted here, red always for resistance, green for support, they might have a resistance drawn, maybe not at 6.2, maybe at 6.4 cents or 6.3 cents. But let's not split hairs here. The important thing is we have an area of price confluence right around the 6 to 10, 11 cent area. Right. So anytime, and it's an important premise within charting, anytime you have what I call price confluence, where price naturally like to gravitate towards, once we break below those areas, okay, they're going to act as resistance. But the more we can come up and hit that resistance, it's like a ceiling where you're hitting it with a hammer, it's going to break. So we want to watch price get up into this 6.2 cent to 10.8 cent area. You know, just some consolidation, healthy consolidation in here, healthy consolidation. And then we can start to talk about further areas that we want to watch for. But in the immediate future, watch for the 6.2 to 10 cent area on the USD chart. Now let's take a look at the weekly. Let's take a look at a higher time frame. And we're also going to talk about one key area here, much higher up in price around this orange horizontal level here. So the important thing I want to point out on the weekly price here, and we're going to look at some price indicators too, On the actual price chart, you can see once again we had resistance. We broke out above it. It's much more cleaner on this chart on a higher time frame. You have less candlesticks, less noise, right? So you can see we've broken out. Again, we could come all the way up to this area and come back down here, back test, and continue moving higher. That is very healthy. In a bullish chart, that's what you want to see. Ultimately, guys and girls, what are we looking for here? We're looking for higher highs and higher lows, right? We ultimately want to see the low here, a high here, a low here, a high here, and so on and so forth, and just continue building those higher highs and higher lows. Now let's look at some price indicators here. One of the things that I wanted to speak to is this MACD. You can see on the histogram we're starting to turn to a darker green color, which is more bullish, but the MACD continues. Okay, we want the blue above the orange. It continues to increase. We're getting very close to this trigger line at 0. Once we get a positive cross on the MACD, that will be very bullish for price, and we're not that far away. The other key thing I want you to focus on, though, okay, the other key thing is on the weekly chart, look at the RSI, okay? Keep an eye at the 40 level. Keep an eye at the 40 level. You can see price here in past times here when we were consolidating in this area, we bounced right along 40 but stayed above it the entire bull run, right? Here, once we broke below 40, you can see once we broke below 40, that's when we had all this bearish price action come in and we reached very low levels we haven't seen since back in 2020 or 21. Okay, so right now the RSI is peaking its head above 40. It's at 40.74. Okay, so you really ideally want to see the RSI stay above that 40 level. Keep an eye on the USD RSI, the weekly USD chart, and take a look at that RSI and make sure that we stay above 40. Now, the last thing I want to discuss on this chart, okay, what's the orange line? Okay, typically when I draw horizontal lines, red is for resistance, green is for support. Well, in this case, this is an area of resistance, okay? We're below it. Clearly, 5.4 cents or 5.3 cents is well below 21.4, which is where I have this drawn. But what I would say is this. Once price finally starts to get above 21.4 cents, that's the time, in my opinion, you should start to get very, very, very bullish on price, because you can see typically when we've gotten above this price, there's not a whole lot of resistance. There's some resistance here at about 34.5 cents, 35 cents. Some wicks up here maybe towards, let's see. Can't see it because my face is in the way. There's some resistance here around 45 cents. But the point is, once we clear 21.4 cents, the odds are increasing significantly that we're going to start running up against our all-time high at close to 60 cents. So watch out, months down the road. This isn't anything we're going to see in the next couple weeks, but watch out months down the road once we start to clear around 21.4 cents. Again, splitting hairs here. If your line is at 21.5 or 21 or 22, right around 21.5 cents. Watch out for that. Now, last chart I want to take a look at is the HBAR BTC relativity chart. In the most simplistic manner possible that I could state what this chart means, because a lot of people struggle to really understand what a relativity chart means. It's literally just assessing price performance. It's making a price performance comparison between two cryptocurrency projects. Okay, in this case, we're looking at HBAR and we're looking at BTC. And it really is a ratio of those USD values. But the more important thing is, when you compare the two USD values, both increases and decreases, when you're comparing them together, it's giving you a sign of strength or weakness in whichever project you're looking at, in this case, HBAR. So if HBAR on this chart is increasing in value, it's increasing and it's having better price performance relative to Bitcoin and vice versa. In this case, you can see we've been in a strong downward trend, right? Look at all this downward resistance we're getting in here. So what you want to look for, okay, I'm going to make this very simple for you. This is on a weekly chart on the HBAR BTC. Look, your first sign that things are really, one of the other signs that things are really turning around for HBAR, we need to clear this downward resistance. We need to get more back up towards above this relativity here at about, there's a bunch of zeros in here. It might be about 6 zeros, but it's about 0.350. We're at approximately 0.250. Okay, so we want to get more above this 0.350, but the more important thing is we can start to feel convicted that there's an increased likelihood that price performance for HBAR is going to begin to outpace Bitcoin once we begin to clear this this very clear downward resistance that we've been in. Okay, we want to break above here, and again, try to get right in this zone as a starting point. It's all about building stair steps up, higher highs and higher lows. Now, I want to get to the root of what the thumbnail is. The question I'm posing here is, and hopefully you got the somewhat of a joke in the beginning there. The hello future is something that is synonymous within the community, and I'm also saying hello in the future. Could we be getting into the top 20? Huh? All right. So the question is, in my opinion, or in my view, what I'm trying to raise in this video is it possible that HBAR could break into the top 20 this year, 2023? Because again, my basic premise, my hypothesis, is that we are going to be setting new all-time highs in the market this year. Okay, so during this last euphoric fifth wave within that Elliott wave structure, this bull run this year, will HBAR break into the top 20? Well, I'd like to invite you to look back at the history of HBAR back before its bull run in 2021. At the very beginning, in January of 2021, HBAR was sitting at 77, position 77. Right now, we are sitting at position 78, so we've moved up twice as far. We cut that in half, all right? So we've moved all the way from 77 up to 38. At its heights, okay, and someone can fact check me on this, but I am 90% sure that at one point HBAR went all the way up to position number 30. We didn't quite get above 30, but we hit 30. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how much strength has there been behind the movement within HBAR's USD price over the course of the past couple years? How much has it moved up in market capitalization, and how much strength has it maintained? We jumped from about 77, we were in actually the 80s, okay? We jumped all the way up as high as 30, and we've maintained a relative position still within the top 30. This increases the likelihood in my mind that HBAR could make some significant moves that could push it up into the top 20. So what does HBAR actually have to do to accomplish this? It's very, very simple. The rate of appreciation within the USD value for HBAR has to outpace ICP, VeChain, Filecoin, Algorand, Quant, LDO, Ape, and etc. All the projects that are in front of it getting up into the top 20, its price performance today, going into this bull run this year, it has to outpace those projects, okay? And I think that is very possible. My honest opinion in terms of where HBAR could land this year, I think it is very, 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 very possible for HBAR, okay? And I think it's, I want to be careful with the word choices I use here. I think it's very possible to get right in between this 20 to 25 spot. Breaking the top 20, I think, is possible. I think it's going to be a lot harder, but I certainly think that it is attainable. It is certainly a possibility that HBAR could break into the top 20. Again, think about where the market capitalization rank was to start before it had its run in 2021. Think about how strong it has been to maintain its position still in the top, 30 to 40 projects here. It is very possible, in my opinion, not only to get between 20 to 25, but ultimately break into the top 20, which would be a huge accomplishment for HBAR, Hedera Hashgraph, and all the HBAR bariums. If you appreciated the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon for notification, and until next time, HBAR barians, spread awareness, carry the education forward.
So what you gonna do, fiat dollar, or crypto bull god and his crypto maniacs, and the entire cryptocurrency market run wild?